URC Power Rankings for round number 8, folks. I've got a little bit of an asterisk there for round number 8 because it's technically not concluded yet with the bloody Sharks and the Lions having not played. Someone will tell me why they haven't played. I haven't seen why they haven't played. Was it a stadium double booking? I'm not sure, but yeah, all the teams but those two have played, so the Power Rankings will be a little off. But either way, happy holidays, folks. Hope you're having a good break. It is very warm down here in New Zealand at the minute. My parents are here. My old man's just outside the door there, having a wee play with the kids as they're out on some bikes and scooters and whatnot, enjoying the sunshine here in the New Zealand summer. Hope you guys are all doing good. We'll go through the power rankings for the last time this year, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. Remembering that the power rankings aren't actually the rankings of the table, but this fella's attempt to rank the teams on recent form and home and away and strength of opposition, all that kind of jazz. I'm not actually that happy with them this week, but hey, we'll go through them and see what you guys reckon. Starting with the bottom, the Dragons. There's no change in the Dragons. The Dragons lost 55-21 to Cardiff. Now, the Dragons are in this kind of weird position where you can find bright sides if you look at them, like they played a couple of the top 14 sides in the Challenge Cup in the recent weeks. Not that that counts for power rankings, but for the URC. But they did all right in those games. They didn't look terrible. Won one, lost one, but no disgraceful results there. And I mean, in this game where they get beaten 55-21, they won the second half 14-10. But it doesn't help when you're down 45-7 at halftime. So yes, the Dragons are propping up the power rankings. Zebre are there in 15th, same as last time we did the power rankings prior to the European games. They're still doing better than last year. They had a flying start to the game against Benetton. And I should say, I'm loving the rivalry rounds. Great crowds pretty much across the board, so that's really, really pleasing to see. Hopefully most of the players are close to home for the holiday period as well, because they tend to be playing local rivals in most of their games. So yeah, Zebre, they lost to Benetton 31-24 at home. They had a flying start. They managed to secure a late losing bonus point, but ultimately it's another loss. And then the Sharks didn't even play. So there you go, that's your bottom three. No change with those sides. There is one side who is down into the bottom four, and that is the Scarlets. The Scarlets are in 13th with their loss to the Ospreys 25-11. There was no score in the first half in that game, so kind of bizarre. And they managed to lose the losing bonus point at the death. So good crowd turned out to see their side walk away with nothing, sadly. They've had 2 wins this season, if I'm not mistaken, both over Cardiff. So when they're playing Cardiff, they're great. When they're playing anybody else, not so fantastic for the Scarlets guys. Next row sees the boys from Galway. Connacht, I've got them at 12th, which may be a bit harsh, but they had a flying start to the season. Their overall record is 4-4, so that's a middling record, but they have lost 3 games in the URC now in a row. But when you look at the teams they've lost to Ulster, Leinster, and the Bulls. So they're not exactly losing to the teams at the bottom of the table. So they did well to come back and get a losing bonus point against Ulster away from home at the weekend. But ultimately, like I said, 3 losses in a row is not going to help when you're looking at kind of recent form and power ranking. So a bit harsh, but down 3. Cardiff, and I've got their jersey on for a reason because they're playing some fun rugby. The Cardiff boys, they may not have the flashiest record. Their record is 3 wins, 4 losses, and a draw. But who knows what Cardiff side's going to turn up. They lose to the Bulls. They draw with Zebre. They beat the Stormers. They lose to the Scarlets. And then they can beat the Dragons. So it's absolutely all over the shop. 4 tries within 17 minutes against the Dragons. So bonus point secured. A couple of proper, lovely prop tries. If you haven't seen the highlights, well worth a look. 55-21 winners over the Dragons. But yeah, up 2 on the power rankings and playing some entertaining rugby. Are they going to be contenders for the season? Probably not, but they're going to be a fun team to watch, and they got a good crowd for their game too. 10th is Munster, which is one of the ones that's way different from the actual table, and probably a bit harsh. Munster lost at home, which the power rankings punishes, and it's got them down 4 spots. But they lost to Leinster, and Leinster, if you didn't know, are doing pretty well this year in the URC. They lost 9 points to 3. So they got a losing bonus point in a pretty wet and tough game. Ollie Jaeger played pretty well up against a big, hard scrummaging Leinster pack, but they were denied virtually any territory in the game. They spent most of the game in their own half. And they have lost 3 of their last 5, which is maybe why the power rankings has got them a wee bit low. But again, when you look at who they're losing to, 2 games to Leinster, 1 to Ulster, they're not getting beaten by the dregs in the old URC. So yeah, maybe I have to look into my old calculations to see if we can more fairly assess losing to kind of contender teams compared to the teams lower. But yeah, Munster a bit harshly, I think, down there at 10th. And then the Lions, who didn't play. Lions' recent record is not harmed. They are down 2 spots, but they didn't play. They're at 3 and 4, so they've got 7 games in the season, which is a game behind everybody else except for the Sharks. The Stormers I've got here in 8th. The Stormers, if I put you up the right way. Stormers in 8th. They had a win over the Bulls. The Stormers are another team. They've got 2 in a row now, so they're up a whopping 2 spots. They beat Zebre a couple of weeks ago. They beat the Bulls at home in what was a proper rivalry match. Great crowd there in Cape Town. Dion Ferree had a stormer. He's a stormer. Didn't mean to do that on purpose. Goal kicking seemed to win them the day because they had fewer tries than the Bulls, but they still managed to get the result. So hopefully some consistency, because the Stormers are at 4 and 4. Didn't start the season that well, but seem to be picking up some speed. The Ospreys are the highest ranked of your Welsh sides in 7th. They beat the Scarlets 25-11. That's a double that they've done over the Scarlets this year. As I mentioned earlier with the Scarlets, there was not a lot of scoring in the early periods of that game. Like, the Scarlets conceded 25 of their points. So the Ospreys scored 25 of their points, all 25 of their points, in about the last 30 minutes. So they kind of opened up that can of whoop-ass at the end of the game and even took the losing bonus point away from the Scarlets. So, yeah, the Ospreys are also at 4 and 4. We'll see how they go against some bigger teams than the Scarlets, to be honest, but up 4 spots. The Edinburgh guys, I'd back Munster over the Ospreys in a minute, just quietly, but there you go. Edinburgh are down 1 spot. 5 and 3 is their record, so still a positive record. They've lost against Glasgow, they won against Ulster, lost against Benetton, won against the Bulls. So, yeah, this most recent loss to Glasgow in their kind of rivalry, 22-10, will be a little bit disappointing, costly yellow card towards the end of that game. But still in the right half of the table, Scottish sides are both doing all right this season. Ulster are there in 5th with their win over Connacht. That sees them up 3 spots. A close game. They kind of had it won more than, like, it was a 2-score lead, and then the Connacht guys kind of came back. So that'll be a little bit too close for comfort after having what was not quite an unassailable lead, but a comfortable lead. So still squeaky bum time for the Ulster guys, but they get a win. So they had a bit of a early mid-season slump, but they seem to be kind of coming out of that. So their record is also 5 wins, 3 losses. The Bulls are there in 4th. They're down 2 spots with their away loss to the Stormers. The Bulls just seem to win at home pretty much without fail, but away from home, it's a lot more of a lottery. 5 and 3 is their record, down 2 spots. They lost to the Stormers 26-20. Outscored them try-wise, but yeah, missed a few goal kicks. Curtly Aronson still seems like an absolute weapon. So, yeah, fingers crossed the Stormers Bulls are kind of there or thereabouts come the end of the season, because I'd like to see them have a good run, just personally. Glasgow, they're in 3rd. Up a spot with win over rivals Edinburgh, 22-20. They had to kind of bounce back, if you think in URC terms. I know we've had Europe between them, but they had a loss to Munster a few weeks ago, which was kind of like a bit of a reality check. I don't know, because Glasgow seemed to be flying high. They went to Munster, got pretty well beaten, but yeah, a bit of a bounce back win, so that's pleasing for them. Their maul gets another bloody try. Their maul is an absolute weapon. So 6 wins, 2 losses is a great record, but not as good as Benetton's record. I think Benetton are 3rd on the actual table, but I've got them 2nd, and it's maybe a little bit kind on them because they've drawn with Munster, beat the Lions, beat the Stormers, beat Edinburgh, Ospreys, and Zebre. So the teams that they're beating, I mean, you can't dismiss a win over the likes of, Edinburgh, given where they are sitting on the log. And the Stormers are looking better now, probably, than when Benetton beat them. The Stormers were in a bit of a slump. The Lions kind of likewise, Ospreys and Zebre. I mean, you could argue some of these teams these guys are beating are not that flash, but ultimately Benetton have only lost one game thus far. They will start playing some tougher teams, I would imagine, in the coming weeks, but they're up a spot, second spot, 6 wins, a loss and a draw. Some bloody nice tries as well in their game against Zebre. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see if Benetton are the real deal or if they're a bit overinflated here. But no question, final power rankings of 2023. Leinster, they haven't lost since round 1. It was an arm wrestle against crosstown rivals. Crosstown? Not really crosstown. Cross-province rivals. Munster, 9 points to 3 win. But, I mean, you could argue the Jacques Nienaber effect, man. Leinster defensively are looking like a very, very hard team to break down this year. So, yeah, they're going to be a tough team to beat. As I said, it's only been done once thus far this season. So, we'll see how things go. You guys let us know your thoughts on the power rankings if you want to see this fella in a Leinster jersey talking to some Chinese people in Chinese when I was in China earlier this year. I will put a link up there and then down there. Check that out maybe over the holiday period if you've got a bit of time on your hands. Want to see that kind of thing. It's 2 cents on tour. It's my other channel. But yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts on the power rankings. Take care of yourselves and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.